Hi there, greetings and salutations. Happy autumn. Because I can tell you the leaves are starting to turn, and it went from summer to autumn in like 2 weeks. My name is Jay Quarry. That's Derek Schultz.
At least we have an autumn.
Excuse me?
There are some years where it goes from being 80 to 30.
Right.
So today, this year, I should say, it feels like this is about one of the more clearly defined autumns that I can really remember. You know, September was really mild, right? It wasn't hot. And then we had a couple of like 85-degree days in early October. But for the most part, this has been a really nice fall.
So summer sometimes is like my spray tan. It just slowly fades.
Yeah.
And then other years, it just, like, you wake up one morning and it's half gone. Like my hands.
Yeah. I'd say
Look at that. Does that freak you out?
Summer's kind of like your relevance, where it fades and it's still fading.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah.
How's that look?
I don't want to look at your
They're kind of
hands.
splotchy.
How was your trip? You're about to take another one, so how was your first vacation of your 2 vacations in 4 weeks?
Well, my 2 vacations in 54 weeks as well, actually. It was good. We went to I did my annual Kevin Turhan Donner Memorial Road trip. I think most people now by now know what we do. My buddy Mike Byron and I. We pick a different spot. We fly to it. We rent a car. We drive from there.
In honor of your friend who passed from cancer?
Correct.
What was that now, 5-6 years ago?
2016, I believe. This was the 7th annual.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
Wow. I remember the first annual.
The first was down to go get his car
Yeah.
for his parents down in Texas. So we did Long Island, New York. We flew into your old stomping grounds and then stayed literally our hotel. I should have sent the picture for this. It was cool. The view of our hotel was exactly perfectly the Nassau Coliseum, like right there.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was like we were staying in the parking lot.
They haven't knocked that thing down yet?
And you know what?
Jeez.
For a Coliseum, for a sports venue that's been around for my entire life, and it's a cool-looking facility, but there haven't been that many, like, moments there. It's not, most arenas, most sports arenas, you look at it and you go, that's where Leitner hit the shot, or that's where Jordan did this. I mean, the Islanders won multiple cups there, and Billy Joel's played there like 350 times. But outside of that...
Well, it's really only known for one team, the Islanders. I mean, that's pretty much all they're known for, whereas some of these other venues housed multiple pro teams.
Correct.
But I'm surprised. I was only in Nassau Coliseum once, and I'm really surprised that that thing all these years later is still standing, because even in the early 90s, that thing was a dump.
Well, apparently they've renovated it, and the Long Island Nets now play there that were recently coached by
Ron Norwood?
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Good call there.
Yeah.
Real good call.
That's what I thought.
I just sent a picture of the Coliseum. You can see what it looks like now.
Okay.
Analyze it
Great.
here in a second. So we went to Long Island. Long Island, I was stunned. I'd never really been on. I mean, when I was an intern at MTV in 1994, I was at the MTV Beach House in Quogue, which is the very end of Long Island. So we stayed. For those that are unfamiliar, Long Island, you have Queens, and then it goes into Long Island. The island itself is only, like 17 miles from top to bottom?
Not big.
But it was just little town after little town after little town, and it was like being in downtown Zionsville and then Greensburg and, just these little towns with the little square. Very quaint, I thought. When I was a kid, Derek, Amityville Horror was a book-turned-movie in the 70s that was, I mean, you would have hated it.
I hate all that stuff, yeah. Especially real-life stuff.
Well, and so now here's the beautiful, look at that. There's Nassau Coliseum. That's the view from our hotel room.
Oh, look at that. Wow.
I mean, it's a cool-looking Coliseum,
You're
is it
like
not?
on the grounds of the Coliseum, basically.
Totally. The
yeah.
hotel was right there, and then, there's nothing going on. So
Sure.
There's that. So we got up, that was Thursday night. Then Friday we got up, or no, Thursday night, actually, the same night that picture was taken, we went to Amityville, which is a small town on Long Island, and the Amityville Horror, and we found the house where that took place. Now, that was a movie, like a horror movie. I didn't realize this. In the mid-'70s, in like 1974, a guy who lived in the home of the Amityville Horror house essentially was, I guess, an addict and, whatever, maybe schizophrenic, and thought that he could get insurance money if he would kill his family, and he did. He went with a rifle and killed the whole family. And so he was convicted, sent away. The house eventually sold, and the couple that bought the house, once they bought it, and people were like, oh, is that house haunted? This is what happened there, da-da-da-da-da. And so they were like, well, no, so they basically, you can't really see it here. The lighting's not good, so my apologies.
But they started seeing stuff and all that, right?
They did, and so they wrote this they wrote this whole thing about it. Well, it turns out they later admitted the whole thing was embellished.
Oh, okay.
So we go to the street where the house is, and it's this beautiful street, Ocean Street in Amityville, New York. But you see Amityville, and you're like, Amityville. And so the house is right there. And, of course, it was like 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe they don't want, people gawking at the house. Across the street and down 2 houses is a guy with a huge farmhouse that clearly is like the original house of the street. Beautiful, beautiful home. And he's got zombies and strobe lights.
I saw, the Halloween display,
lights. Yeah. And he's got like an 8-foot by 8-foot high-def screen in his front yard where it is showing the Amityville Horror. The movie.
Wow.
So the movie's on, and so anyway, he came out, and I know you'll be stunned to know, I ended up talking to him for 20 minutes.
Of course, yeah.
And he said, you know what? When you live on this street,
you let you sleep in his house. They cooked you and Byron dinner for 4 nights.
Yeah.
Just normal human interaction stuff. Of course.
Could not have been a nicer guy. And he was like, look, you just embrace it when you live on this street. The lady that lives there now totally has fun with it and whatever else. Beautiful house.
That's cool that everybody's cool about it because there's some, like the Breaking Bad house, I know they were persona non grata.
Correct. They were not pleased. There's a lot to talk about aside from just the trip itself. Charlottesville, Virginia was great. We went to the Thomas Jefferson statue on the campus of the University of Virginia. That was very cool.
Per advice from Rick Carlisle.
That's right. Mm-hmm. There's Byron. There's myself. I look fat, don't I?
No, not at all.
Look at my face.
I don't think so.
My face looks fat.
No, I don't agree.
That's Thomas Jefferson there. Okay.
Yes, I'm aware.
Okay. Yeah. We went there. We went to Annapolis. It's beautiful. Naval Academy.
Oh, cool. I've never been there.
Beautiful, beautiful. So a lot of fun. Then came back in time to watch the Colts and the Browns. And Derek, a lot will be made out of the 2 Browns, the plays that helped the Browns stay in the game and win the game, and the officials, and probably 2 calls where the whistle should have been swallowed. But Colts shouldn't have been in that position. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, look, they did a bunch of self-destructive stuff, especially in the first half. The sequence right before halftime with the strip sack, the turnovers. 4 more turnovers for the Colts. It's weird, Jake, because I'm having trouble trying to reconcile all the good things that the Colts did in that game with all the bad. It was like, was it a good game for Gardner Minshew? He accounted for 4 touchdowns.
But he also accounted for 4 turnovers.
But he also, accounted for 4 turnovers. Was it a good game for the defense? Because outside of the long forward run, they gave up less than 3 yards per carry. 4.4 YPP, or was it a bad one?
YPP?
Because they gave up 31 points. I know the Browns scored 38, but 31 offensive
what's the
points.
YPP?
Yards per play.
You could just say that.
So when you're talking YPP,
yards per play,
4.4 YPP is great.
If you say yards a play, you're not adding any more syllables. And it's
I would
very
think
much more clear.
Most teams, your target would be, you feel really good about your chances of winning if you can get it around 5 YPP.
Just yards per play.
And I get that it was P.J. Walker and a deep, he's basically their 3rd-string quarterback. But still, defensively, I thought they mostly played well. This is a team, Jake, that they're 3-4, but they're the only team in the league that has scored at least 20 points in every single game. And they're putting up great offensive numbers with a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
And a lot of injuries. They've had injuries to the offensive line.
There's reason to look at it and feel like you're pretty close.
Jonathan Taylor basically has played 1.5 games as Jonathan Taylor. I think last week was the first time that you said, that's the Jonathan Taylor that I remember. So it's a weird position for the Colts to be in. Look, the expectations and things like that, I get it, are probably out the window now because of Anthony Richardson being done for the year. But for the most part, I think this team has performed at a pretty high level through the first 7 games.
Yeah, I would agree with that. When you go in and you are getting double the total yardage in the game that Cleveland has allowed on average.
Yeah.
More than double, right?
They scored 5 touchdowns.
Right.
Cleveland had given up 7 all year.
And where that game was lost, it's probably unfair. It's probably overly nuanced to, pick one play. Mm-hmm. A game happens in totality. I get it. But if there's a play you want back, and it was their own fault, it was the last play of the half.
Yeah.
For them. Yeah. All you have to do is take a knee and you go into the half with the lead. And instead, with Myles Garrett, who's a one-man wrecking crew that was basically just a bull in a china shop, you're backed up and you decide to pass. and you saw what happened. They end up giving the strip sack touchdown, and you go in down at the half. There's I mean, that's the difference right there, right?
Pretty much. And you know me, Jake, I lean aggressive, but I think there's context to it too. And when the context is 3rd and long and you've got Blake Freeland and Drew Ogletree out there trying to block maybe the best defensive player in the league, that's the context where you want to play it safe. Also, the 60-yard field goal.
Did you launder your shirt? You've got stains and stuff on it.
Oh, I do?
Were you painting?
Oh, I do have a thing on it.
Yeah. And then you've got on this side too, and just...
No, it's just like a fuzz, but it's.
Is it deodorant?
It can't be. Why would it be right there?
I don't know.
And I don't have white deodorant.
Okay.
Where's the other one that you see?
Well, it looks like maybe you had a name tag on.
I did have a name tag. Did you see it?
You could see the holes that you like. Maybe a moth got to your shirt. Other side.
No, there shouldn't be a
other side.
There shouldn't be a hole in it.
No, there's definitely 2 holes.
Well, this is my favorite polo shirt.
Clearly.
Yeah. It's been through the ringer a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Can you guys see this in high def? Hopefully not.
What?
Yeah, see, Vince is saying no. Vince is saying no.
You're not even aware of where it is. You see it there?
Where?
Right
There's
there.
a hole?
Yeah, you see it? There's a hole there. Yeah.
No, it's just a little string or whatever. I mean, some of this stuff is not showing up. Some of it might show up in HD.
You're biting your lip and your arm is shaking.
Most of it won't,
What?
I think, show up in HD.
Where did you get that shirt?
What shirt? This one?
The favorite one you're wearing.
I think this is Gap.
Okay.
Yeah. Fashion Mall. Clearance. Gap clearance. Let's get back to it. The 60-yard field goal. Because you threw the screen pass to Mo Cox and you lost 6 yards. Like, if you were going to trot Matt Gay out there no matter what, don't you run on 3rd down? Right? So, Shane Steichen is learning on the job. Right? It's a first-year head coach. This is his 7th game of his life as an NFL head coach. I think
you know the one thing about Steichen, he looks like he looks the part.
Of course, but he also is showing you that he's the part. I think you're seeing that Shane Steichen is what he was made out to be and what he was advertised as. This is a gifted offensive mind. That doesn't mean that his decision making is infallible. It just means that there are going to be some mistakes along the way. I mean, it's a lot like what we went through with Reich, and I was texting Rakestraw about this on Sunday. So many people are calling the postgame show, and they're mad that the Colts really attempted any pass at all in that game. Like, what are you doing passing? And Greg's like, guys, the split was, 45 runs to 23? Don't quote me on that, but it was something like that.
Where they erred in the runs, though, Derek, not to cut you off there, but was... I thought at times they went away from Taylor, and Zach Moss has been a really good player for them. But when Taylor's going like that, you got to keep going there.
There's not a lot of. There was one sequence where they came back with the ball, and I think Moss ran 3 times, and I was like, "What are you guys doing?" Like, I'm fine sprinkling in Moss, but at this point, Taylor should be your bell cow, to borrow the Jake Query term there. So yes, of course, Shane Steichen is going to make some mistakes, but this offense and what they're getting out of this offense is mind-blowing. We're not appreciating that enough, what the Colts are doing here with a Gardner Minshew-led offense. Like, everybody talks about, well, this team has no weapons. Well, if they have no weapons and they're putting up almost 500 against the Browns, that's pretty darn good, ain't it?
Now, but here's the thing, Derek. Is there a problem brewing? Starting to percolate. Does it bubble over? No. With Josh Downs is emerging as a real weapon, right?
Yeah. He's been great.
He's been a great player for them. And you have Taylor now in the mix. It's great. Alec Pierce caught 3 balls on 3 targets.
And he's been better the last couple of games. He's been better.
More of him, for sure. But Michael Pittman Jr., who leads the Colts in targets, this guy right here, number 11, after the game, making a few comments that he feels like he needs to be targeted more. Had the big touchdown, obviously. But this is a guy that is now heading into a contract year, and he's in a contract year, and he saw what Jonathan Taylor did. And Jonathan Taylor, guess what? He got paid, right? Are the Colts headed towards a redo in terms of distractive conversation with a star offensive player that wants more than what he's getting?
I don't know. I think Michael Pittman Jr. was a heralded 5-star recruit. He went to one of the true glamour programs in college football at USC. He was a drafted to be basically a wide receiver 1 on day 1, right, by the Colts, and just thrown in. You're our guy. Let's go. So I can kind of understand where he's coming from. He's used to being the guy. He's always been the guy. And if he felt like he wasn't the guy even for a game, I don't blame him. And I don't think really anything out of it. I think we're making a little bit of a mountain out of a molehill. I mean, if you look numbers-wise, Michael Pittman Jr. is one of the most targeted players in the entire league.
Right, of course. Which is why to say that, like, I'm not getting enough targets is a little silly.
I mean, in that afternoon, maybe he feels like he didn't. But overall, I think Michael Pittman Jr. has been given the ball as much as he wants it. And that will continue to be the case. It's funny because we said this about Taylor. Like, if you would roll back a tape on the show probably a year ago, I was probably saying that, well, if I'm Jonathan Taylor, I'm not worried one bit about getting a contract extension. Like, I fully believe the Colts are going to pay him. And I guess ultimately they did after a lot of drama. I'm not worried one iota about Michael Pittman Jr. being a longtime Colt. I'd be shocked if they didn't end up extending.
Well, and the question becomes, ultimately, is he your number one, or do they have to go out and get somebody above him?
I want to touch on this when we talk about the love that play, but for all of the times where you feel like Michael Pittman Jr. is leaving you kind of wanting more, he made a Tyreek Hill level, Justin Jefferson level play on Sunday.
Right.
Yeah. Broke a couple of tackles and broke one. Like that's what we're talking about when we're talking about elite wide receiver 1.
Right.
There's a handful of guys. There's only probably, some of the guys that I just mentioned, there are probably like 5 or 6 guys who really kind of fall into that category, but he made that level of play on Sunday.
Speaking of love that play, we're going to do it earlier in the program.
Yeah.
By the way, brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air. Love-HVAC.com is their website, 317-353-2141. We are privileged and very blessed to have some great sponsors on this program. Of course, Bailey & Wood, the presenting sponsor of Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network. And along for the ride from the very beginning with us has been Love Heating and Air. That's because they're like family to both Derek and myself, and they treat you like family when you become a customer as well. 24-hour on-call maintenance, just one of the things that you get as a benefit from this family-owned business that's been around for over 100 years in central Indiana. 317-353-2141 or love-HVAC.com. And love that play, our favorite play, Derek, of the weekend.
I mean, if we were in Cleveland, I'd say the Myles Garrett leaping over the line and blocking the kick, which is just a freaking incredible play. I mean, what an unbelievable play. There are probably 3 or 4 people on planet Earth that can do what he just did in that game. But Michael Pittman flashing the Tyreek Hill peace sign. I love it. I don't want the Colts to taunt on every play, but I actually loved it. There was another play, and I forget what moment of the game this came in. I want to say it was the second half, but I really don't know. Alec Pierce caught a long pass.
He did.
And he got up and he screamed. And I was like, hell yeah. All right. Like, let's go. He's a reserved kid,
Right.
And to see that sort of emotion.
Maybe finally coming out of his shell a little bit, right?
And I kind of like, T.Y. Hilton, who is another guy who we kind of did this with Michael Pittman, like, is he a 2? Is he a 1? You never questioned his swagger. You know what I mean? Like, T.Y. wore it on his sleeve. And I kind of like seeing that a little bit. The truly great wide receiver, really outside of Jerry Rice, and I guess maybe Marvin Harrison, but he was private and quiet. I mean, Marvin was his own guy. Most of those guys, Moss, T.O., the really great ones, are flamboyant, right? And cocky and
Ochocinco.
Swagger, and I like to see that a little bit from Michael Pittman Jr., but it was a great play. I mean, it's the best play that he's ever made in his career, I'd say, right? I don't think that's an overstatement.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Too bad it was kind of buried in a loss, but
all of this good stuff has been buried in a loss. Even last week, I think the Colts in Jacksonville did some really good things that ultimately were undone this time instead of questionable penalties just by self-destruction.
Right.
But the turnovers, I mean, they got to get that figured out because I don't care about Minshew's interception numbers being low, even though those have been a little bit high. But if he's going to fumble every game, that's a big problem.
The turnovers were an issue, and they got to clean that up. Now, they got a chance to get back on the right side of things with New Orleans coming in, right?
Yeah, the schedule stinks here coming up. The only team left on their slate that currently has a winning record is Pittsburgh. And I think, have you watched Pittsburgh?
I know.
That's not a good football team.
I agree.
Yeah,
it's like, wait, Pittsburgh?
They're 4-2, and it's a minor miracle that they're 4-2. Saints at Panthers at Patriots before the bye. So that's a chance. I think you hope for 2-1. And
I
then you
think
put
you can go
yourself
3-0,
500.
right?
Well, certainly I think you could go 3-0, but I think you hope for 2-1. I mean, hell, you could go 0-3.
Right.
This year's NFL, everybody kind of stinks. I mean, look at the Niners right now. So I don't really even know what to think, but I'm very encouraged by what Steichen has shown and what this offense has shown, what the offensive line has shown. And I think defensively they've played much better than what the numbers say. But Darrell Baker Jr. shouldn't be on an NFL roster, much less in a one-possession game late in the fourth quarter.
Those 2 penalties late in the game.
Yeah.
And I know by now this is all kind of.
I know, that's why I didn't want to belabor the point.
But the first one, was it a penalty? Probably technically yes, but you could argue the timing of it because it appears as though the ball was already out when the contact took place, thus the contact would be negated. Okay? But it's easy on, you can get on the all 22 film and freeze it and then zoom it out to times 2,000 and get out tape measures and go, see? But you're asking people as human beings to make that in real time. Mm-hmm. Okay. The second one, was it a catchable ball? Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, we could definitively say.
But what we don't know is if a receiver is in that moment, the official has to make the determination of if this guy had not been held up, would he have been able to jump up and make a catch there? Probably not. Highly likely not. But there's an element of human error that comes into it.
Yeah, there is human error. They're human. But they missed. I mean, the pass interference call was much more egregious to me than the illegal contact, even though the illegal contact
bottom line
ended
is,
the game.
The bottom line is, Derek, the Indianapolis Colts had a game in hand, and all they had to do to win that game was prohibit a team led by P.J. Walker from going all the way down the field and scoring a touchdown.
And they couldn't do it. And a lot of that has to do with having a guy that shouldn't be on the field because he was on for the Elijah Moore 3rd and 10 30-yard pass, and he was the person that was penalized twice. But something else that I had a problem with the DPI is that if you're going to
defensive pass interference,
if you're going to make those calls back to back, you better be sure on the second call that it's pass interference.
Correct.
That was my other problem, and people can argue that it doesn't matter if you call if there are 7 plays in a row that are all penalties, you got to throw the flag all 7 times. Nah. You better be sure. If you're going to make a huge game-turning call like that illegal contact, you better be absolutely sure that if you're going to reach into your pocket again, the next play is a penalty. And that's part of what I had the biggest problem with.
I get it.
I don't think you can make that call unless it's egregious. And not only was it not egregious, it wasn't a foul.
We have a sandwich to get to.
We do. And we have, and I know Vince is excited about this because he's rocking the blue and gold Air Force Ones. Pacers this week. Pacers basketball.
What did you
NBA
do
this week?
People, if you're on the podcast, you can't see it, but Derek is biting his lip.
I'm not biting my lip. I'm doing the.
Are you
thumbs
constipated?
Up.
You look actually like you're trying to open a curtain while constipated.
I'm excited. This is my excited.
But you look ridiculous.
People give thumbs up all the time.
But they don't do it with that stupid look on their face.
I'm smiling?
No, you're not smiling.
What are you talking about?
You're not smiling. You're biting your lip and you're grimacing.
I'm not biting my lip?
Yes, you are.
I'm doing
that. You're grimacing.
Okay, well, whatever you see in your head. We'll roll back the tape on that, I guess. Whatever you see. Hoagies and Hops, Hogan Hero of the Week, and a little blue and gold. We come back. It's Query and Schultz on the ISC Sports Network.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Bailey and Wood presents Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network alongside Jay Query. I'm Derek Schultz. BAWFG.com, 855-350-HOME for our friends at
Derek,
Bailey
can you
and
try to
Wood
say that with a little more enthusiasm?
855-350-HOME.
Thank you. I mean, Mike Wood's a great guy.
BAW.
He's going to be in for me in 2 weeks.
ISC.com.
They're the title presenting sponsor. We are happy and proud and honored to be associated with them. They do
Absolutely.
fabulous work.
Yes.
And you kind of sleptwalk through that. They deserve Bailey and Wood. Bailey and Wood wants to do everything they can, not only to help you get the best rate for your home, but also keeping your money at home, giving back to the southern part of central Indiana, all around Indianapolis, really, but in particular in the south side that has been hit by storms and other such things and children's choir programs. That's what Bailey and Wood is dedicated towards, keeping you at home, but keeping your money here as well.
Why don't you just handle it next time?
Well, maybe I will. Maybe I will.
You just do it.
You seem off today. Everything going okay?
Not off at all.
Anything happen? Everything okay at home? I mean, you seem put out.
Great. Everything's great at home. Everything's great in my life. I look great. Smell great. Whole deal. Pacers opening up the 23-24 season. Is that game against Washington Tuesday? Tonight?
Today's Tuesday.
Yeah, tonight?
No.
Wednesday.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Wednesday.
But, I had an extra ticket for that, and I thank goodness Stephen Holder could go because I was like, I don't know who.
I'm in New York.
What are you going to New York for?
Conference.
Really?
It's a media networking dealio.
Where are you staying in New York?
Well, we're
in
staying.
Manhattan?
Yeah, we're gonna stay
Howard
kind
Johnson?
of Upper East Side, Midtown ish. I think like 67th Street, and then go downtown for the weekend. Ashley and James are coming with me, so I've got a 2-day conference Thursday and Friday. Syracuse is putting it on, and then we're gonna stay downtown and do Statue of Liberty and the ferry. And I've never done Statue of Liberty in my life.
Okay. Do you want a tip?
Sure.
Weird for the guy from Indiana to be giving the guy from Trumbull, Connecticut a tip.
Well, I mean, I think when you were going in as much as we were, like the tourists did Statue of Liberty, like we never thought of it.
Skip doing the actual island, unless you plan on going up inside the statue, which takes an all-day event.
Oh, it does? Okay. Then,
yeah.
Okay, then we won't do that.
If you skip that, take the Staten Island ferry.
Yeah, and just see. It's beautiful.
I've
done that before.
It's the same route.
Yeah,
you go right past it and right back.
I've been on the ferry. I've never actually been Ellis Island.
I mean, Ellis Island,
Statue
it
of
is
Liberty.
kind of cool to go to the, okay. I mean, it is cool. Let me say that then. If you're going to go to this is my tip for people if you're visiting New York City. And I don't even know if you still can climb the top of the inside of the Statue of Liberty. But it is an all-day event, and you get to the top, and you're up there for literally, it's a spiral staircase, and the people in front of you are like, I see the top. And you're like, sweet. And then 2 steps later, the people in front of you are coming back down. You're like, what just happened? Oh. And you get up to the top, and it's like, keep moving. And it's literally 8 feet with like 4 little windows. And you just move, and you look at them real quick, and you go right back down.
Okay.
And you're like, I just spent 4 hours for that.
Yeah. Then I don't want to do 4 hours of that.
Yeah, it's a long day.
Okay. We're going to do like Top of the Rock probably too. We'll do all the
Top of the Rock?
At Rockefeller.
Oh, yeah.
And do all of that too. But yeah, anyway, so I can't go to the Pacers game, but they play a Wizards team that is believed to be the worst team in the league.
Right.
So maybe that's an opportunity for an early win. But Vegas over-under on wins. Do you want to guess or do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
42.5.
38.5.
Oh.
That feels low.
Push that over
Doesn't that
big
feel
time.
low?
Push that.
I'm not trying to be a homer. That feels low to me. 38.5 is now that puts them 8th in the East, which is probably about right.
I would push that over big time.
I don't have as much of a problem with the Pacers being 8th in the East, but I don't know, 38.5, like that again, that seems low. Like if the Pacers went 37-45 this year, I'd be really disappointed with that, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Like that'd be a really disappointing
I would
year.
Hammer the over.
Anyway, they're 20th in the NBA. So that shows how little Vegas kind of thinks of them. But I just think, Jake, with this team, there are storylines here out the wazoo. Besides their actual performance and taking a step forward as a franchise, what happens to Buddy Hield? What is the starting lineup and rotation going to look like? What are they going to do with Andrew Nembhard? Who's going to get left out? Because whether it be Nwora, Isaiah Jackson, TJ McConnell, Jalen Smith, somebody ain't going to play this year.
You're right.
Or some buddies ain't going to play.
Right.
They don't have enough basketballs to
Obi
kind of go
Toppin
around
could
for
be. I mean, we'll
everybody.
see what happens with Obi Toppin, right?
I think they really like him.
I know.
I think he's going to fit.
But they didn't
pretty
extend him though. Aaron Nesmith has been re-signed now for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
value price. I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous to say about somebody getting over $11 million a year, but
That's what a standard NBA player is going to make now.
I know, and I think Neesmith is a really nice piece for them. That's a value.
Well, he's versatile and he defends. So every NBA and he can shoot. So every NBA team needs somebody like that.
Right. But you are right. You know, Wara is the one to me that probably gets left.
Yeah.
He has a Chris Copeland feel to him.
Yeah. And I think if Isaiah Jackson is going to show something, it's got to be now.
Yeah.
There's no more waiting, I think, for Isaiah Jackson.
I would agree with that.
But I'm interested to see what is Smith the backup big? Is Jackson? Is Daniel Tice after a great international showing? Is he back in the rotation?
Here's my weird prediction. In this particular season, I'm not talking totality here, but for this season, Ben Shepherd is going to get more minutes than people expected, and Jarris Walker is going to get fewer than expected.
I think both of those guys are ready to play. And I'm surprised, especially with the former, because it seemed to be that, well, they're just kind of stashing Shepherd for a little bit longer.
I know, but he's 23 years old.
Yeah, and he played all 4 years at Belmont, right? So you would think that somebody like that would be ready to play. Toppin is the real wild card here. If Obi Toppin gets unlocked, if you will, then I think the Pacers have the chance to be really good.
Right.
And I'm kind of on the fence about him because I think he's just an athlete. But the Knicks never used him right, and they never dedicated themselves to using him. And so if there is something there, I think the Pacers can find it. And also, I'm fascinated to see what happens with Hield because I don't know if they feel like he's going to fit for them going forward.
He's going to be their sixth man, probably.
Yeah. And you can't be happy about that. I wouldn't be happy about that.
Especially in a contract year, right?
I wouldn't be happy about that.
But he's been a good teammate so far. And
he has.
This is going to test how good a teammate he is.
I'm just glad that we can enter a Pacer season and not have the, are they going to trade Miles Turner conversation. That's
38 and a half is low, man.
That's refreshing to me.
Speaking of refreshing, how about this chili
Yeah,
water?
you want to talk chili water beer and Hoagies and Hops Hogue? The Sando for this week is the Greg
Boy, that
Rakestraw
is wonderful
favorite.
right here.
And we'll talk about the blood on the tracks as well. This is the Pit Twist. So we got copious amounts of ham, prove, house-made slaw, mayo, and some chips on top, just like when you were a kid. Really good.
Derek, you don't have to put it all in one bite. Now you're pulling the curtain strings again.
I'm not usually a mayo guy. I didn't put mayo on yours because I know you don't like mayo at all. But you're going to do a ham sandwich? I think you got to have mayo. I think you got to have mayo to do a ham sandwich, don't you? Or maybe you don't feel that way.
No. Mayonnaise is disgusting.
That's good. It's not number one on my list, like it is for Greg.
Derek.
But it's in my power rankings.
First off, people listening to this on a podcast form can hear everything these mics pick up. And you you are the most disgusting eater on planet Earth. Okay? You eat a sandwich in Sioux Falls and people can hear it in Sioux City. Like, it's ridiculous.
I don't think I'm allowed to eat it really at all.
Trust me.
You know, there's something, they've done studies on this, and if you're bothered by like loud chewing and stuff, there's something mentally wrong with you.
Have you noticed that a lot of times you get to eat alone? Like when you were in school.
Well, I don't think that was volume based.
You have mayonnaise all over your mouth. It's disgusting.
What are you talking about?
You look like Lardass in Stand By Me. And it's in your beard, too.
No, it's not. I got
Your
it.
mustache. Unless your mustache is just getting white.
Well, yeah, there were some grays.
Okay.
Let's talk about the beer. Where's my beer?
It's great.
Chili Water, Blood on the Tracks, Blood Orange IPA. We have featured this before on the show. It's funny because I went in there, and it was packed. It's just, every time I go in there now, there are just a ton of people in there.
Of course.
With Chili Water and at Hoagies and Hops, which is great to see. But Alexis was behind the bar at Chili Water, and I'm talking with an old radio listener who had been watching the Colts game there, and we're catching up or whatever. And, you know, on Sundays when I come in to get the sandwich and the beer, I'm technically not a paying customer because, part of the deal on the show is we're eating and drinking on the show. So they give those to me on the house. So I get my sandwich and the guy's like, oh, I'll pay for you. And I was like, oh, no, man, it's okay. And they just hand me the sandwich. And he's like, whoa. And then I go over to Alexis at the Chili Water bar and she just hands me the 2 beers. And he's like, you really are a Midtown celebrity. And instead of telling him, oh, no, man, like this is just a deal that we have, I just said, yep. And then walked out. So the best thing about being a legitimate celebrity, which I am, of course, and so is Jake, I guess, to a lesser extent, is the people's imaginations about what that all means. So I liked him thinking that I just walk into anywhere in Midtown.
No one knows who we are, Derek.
They just hand me that stuff.
No one.
Oh, totally disagree.
No one knows who we are.
Totally disagree. I mean, Hoagies and Hops and Chili Water Tap Room, it's like my home base. It's like my Satrials if I'm Tony Soprano. Like that level.
Okay. By the way, it's time for our Hero of the Week. I have a nominee that probably is different than yours.
Is it baseball?
No.
Okay, you go ahead with yours.
Ashley Vaskamp. Ashley Vaskamp is an EMT worker, first aid worker at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah.
David Bell's, by all account, it appears David Bell's either brother, the wife of or partner of David Bell's brother, or David Bell's sister. But David Bell, the former Warren Central wide receiver and now Cleveland Brown, Purdue Boilermaker wide receiver, is now an uncle. I don't know if it's for the first time or not, but has a new niece and or nephew because a baby was delivered at the game at Lucas Oil Stadium. And Ashley Vaskamp was one of the first aid workers that got the phone call that a woman was going into labor and delivered what is believed to be the first child born at Lucas Oil Stadium.
That's awesome. And a great story. I thought about this because I saw people wearing David Bell jerseys. I saw pictures. I was like, oh, yeah, David Bell,
Right.
Warren and Purdue, because we haven't really heard anything from him.
Right.
It's only his second year, but he doesn't seem to be playing very much.
Correct.
And
I think he had 3 targets.
I'm a little, I don't know. Should I be concerned about that? He was a dynamic player.
I think the critique on him at Purdue, and I guess people were right, was that he didn't have enough separation speed.
Yeah. He was never a big, measurables guy, right? He's not big. He's like,
Right.
If he's over 6 foot, he's not much over 6 foot. And he's not a burner, but he was a really productive player. So I don't know. I just thought a little bit more. My hero of the week, and this was just great. Adolis Garcia of Texas, just an absurd series against the Astros. 10 for 23, 5 dingers, 15 RBI. The dude homered 5 times in the final 4 games. I'm not sure how many people even knew who he was a week ago, but there are probably more sports fans that know that now.
They won 68 games a year ago, Derek.
I just love the fact that game was over by the 3rd inning.
Yep.
And the Astros fans just kind of had to sit there for the final 6 innings and watch the coronation of another team in their state and a division rival happen right in front of them. It was just, I'm not a big Schadenfreude guy, but it was delicious.
But you use the word a lot.
It was delicious.
My buddy Mac Engel, writer for the Fort Worth Star
He was
Telegram,
there, yeah. He covered the whole series.
he wrote a column saying that the Texas Rangers will be the team that is responsible for the end of the era for the Houston Astros. You agree?
No, because I don't think the Astros are going anywhere. But good for Mac for calling his shot and then having Texas come through. Because Houston has been – they were on pace to be in 4 or 5 World Series and 5 of 7.
Right.
I mean, this has been an incredible run for the Astros. It's 7 straight ALCS in this format is
Don't you
insane.
remember when the Astros completely tanked?
Yeah.
I mean,
and we're taping this right now on Tuesday, but Major League Baseball has to be praying for the Phillies. Because if it's a Rangers, I don't know, Rangers-Phillies might not get any ratings either, but a Rangers-Diamondbacks series will set record lows for TV viewership.
2 big top 10 TV markets. But no one outside those 2 markets would care, right?
I don't think, and we may have mentioned this on last week's show, and I tweeted it last night. I don't think I've ever seen encountered anyone in my life wearing a Texas Rangers article of clothing.
Right.
And people might watch this and think, hey, man, you ever leave Indiana and see any Pacers gear? Touche. I think there is something to that, where it's not like there's any sort of a national fan base. But NBA gear is iconic. Like, people wear NBA jerseys all the time.
What is my age-old question? My age-old question. You set up a camera in Times Square, the Disney Magic Kingdom, and the Las Vegas Strip.
Yeah.
And every time that someone walks past with a backpack, hat, T-shirt, pullover, whatever, of any pro sports team, you check it off the list. What are the last three franchises to be checked off?
The Rangers would be way up there.
The Pacers would be up there, too.
The Brewers would be up there. The thing about the NBA,
the Brewers, though, people wear hats.
The NBA, there's just more pop culture relevance to NBA gear.
Unless it's the Washington Wizards.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody wears a Jordan Wizards jersey.
But there's certainly more Wizards gear than Texas Rangers gear that's out there.
When's the last time you saw anybody wearing something on the Washington?
But Jake, like, the NBA is a whole cultural thing, whereas baseball is just, it's not.
No, I agree,
right?
Except for the Washington Wizards.
Yeah. Because the jerseys kind of suck.
And they're the Washington Wizards.
It's a little much. But good for Garcia, good for the Rangers. I think they'll certainly be the favorite against the D-backs. I think they'll be the favorite probably regardless.
Can I make an unpopular opinion?
Yeah.
I'm.
You haven't watched one pitch of the baseball playoffs?
I've actually watched it a fair amount. I'm prepared to kind of slink away off camera. Okay. Should I say it quickly?
Sure.
They're great visually, and I know it's exciting because he played at Indiana, but a lot of Kyle Schwarber's home runs are actually overrated and totally useless.
It doesn't matter when you hit 45 of them every year.
But how many of them swung the game or cemented the game? You're up 3-0 and you hit a home run solo to go up 4-0. Okay.
Yeah, but then you hit the one that went from 1-0 to 2-0 too. You know, like it's not. It's the amount of home runs. It's not necessarily time and place. I don't think.
What about the amount of otherwise like?
Look,
he's batting over 400 in the CS. Don't get me wrong.
And I get that,
but he has 5 home runs and they're all solo.
The IU stuff,
the Ray Langford thing. When I was in St. Louis and I'm like, oh my gosh, this Ray Langford guy's got like 25 home runs, and people are like, yeah, I know, but like 20 of them come after the 6th inning in games separated by 5 runs or more and are solo shots. When there's 2 guys on and you need 2 runs and you come to bat and you strike out.
But was Ray Langford hitting 6-7 home runs in every LCS that he was playing?
No,
in?
I mean,
get Schwarber's doing this deep into the October every year.
It's amazing in that regard. I get that, no doubt. About it.
If you
I'm not saying it's not impressive.
He bats like 198, so if you want to get on him for something like that, I guess it's okay. But any team in the league can use a player like Schwarber. Like the Cubs always felt like.
I guess what I'm saying is this, Derek.
He's not good enough for us.
And I haven't watched. Maybe I'm speaking out of school here because I haven't watched it this nuanced. Schwarber's home runs, while amazing and exciting and fun, for sure, all of those things. And they kind of jumpstart Philly, I get it. But how much are they altering the way teams are pitching to him and thus disrupting the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, they shouldn't pitch to him at all,
honestly,
I know. Probably.
But they do because they're like, okay, solo home run, whatever.
Or you have a chance in a strikeout, or 3 true outcomes, right, is what you end up with. But it's a great story, and the Phillies are a lot of fun. So, I don't know. I go back and forth on baseball. Sometimes I hate baseball, and sometimes I really love it. I love Game 7s.
It's like me.
Like somebody last night was like, you're the only person on my feed that's tweeting about baseball. Well, Vikings-Niners does nunca for me. Like, nothing. There is no relevance to my life for a Minnesota-San Francisco football game.
But there is for an Arizona-Philadelphia.
It's game 7. So, yeah, there's stakes, right? Okay. So that's why we watch sports, right? Fair. I watch sports to see. I tuned in last night because it was already 3-1, and I said, I want them to pan over to shots of Astros fans crying. Like, that's why I tuned in. And Garcia kept launching home runs, and I never really saw, like, the straight, like, breakdown crying. But how about all the Rangers? Did you watch any last night?
There are a lot of Rangers fans there.
Well, of course, it's in Texas. Yeah, man, but does anybody know any Rangers fans?
Right. Well,
and they were well represented.
What's the difference? How far is Houston from Dallas?
4 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how many Reds fans would be in St. Louis? Same difference, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Well,
Well, here.
Yeah, I mean, what would it be to Arlington to Houston? Would be like 4 hours, right?
Yeah. Okay, Arlington to Houston, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm looking up the mileage here. Remember, this is one of my best games that I do.
I mean, you probably have Rangers fans that are all over. Or
256 miles from Arlington to Houston, okay?
So not quite 4 hours. Three and a half? 3?
St. Louis to Cincinnati.
4:15.
Mileage?
No, 4 hours, 15 minutes. Because it's 3 hours from St. Louis to here and about
St. Louis to Cincinnati, 350.
Okay, yeah, so I'm right, or just about right. So I was close.
516. So a little bit further, but you get the point.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was kind of right on it there. Mm-hmm. Segment 3, Bite or Bull Bleep. Quick hits. IUPUI Jags report. We still got plenty to get to. Stick around. IUPUI. It's Query and Schultz. Presented by Bailey & Wood Financial Group, ISC Sports Network.
IUPUI basketball is back. Come witness history with head coach Matt Crenshaw inside Indiana Farmers Coliseum and head coach Kate Bruce inside the Jungle as they usher in a new era of Jaguars athletics. Be there for exciting Horizon League and in-state matchups. Affordable fun for the whole family. Full season tickets are now on sale starting as low as $80. Order today at IUPUIJags.com/tickets or call 317-278-2530. Work hard, make noise, have fun. Go Jags.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Hi there, greetings and salutations again. My name is Jake Query. That's Derek Schultz. Welcome back to ISC Sports Network here. It is Query and Schultz, brought to you by Bailey & Wood. Derek, we were just talking about it, and while I don't know that it is necessarily official, and by the time this airs and people are listening to it, then perhaps it will be official, but reports now coming out, Dusty Baker has decided this will be it for his managerial career.
He got his ring.
Yeah.
He's going to be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And he deserves to be. A guy that I don't think ever probably got the credit that he deserved, and I was happy to see him get the validation that he needed in some people's eyes, I think, with last year's championship. Stink said he went 0 for Game 7s, 0 for 4, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But overall, a great career. He managed a lot of huge, memorable games.
Now, here's a trivia question for you. Greg Rakestraw would get this right. I'll bet you $20.
Any freaking trivia question you ask Rakestraw, you get right. So that's doesn't even need to be said.
Dusty Baker, in terms of the last 40 years, maybe 45. I got to do the math. I'll say 45. Within the last 45 years, Dusty Baker was involved in 2 major iconic moments of the Houston Astros history. What are they?
Is the championship one?
That's one of them.
Okay. And the other one would have had to have been as a player, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the graphics to see if Greg Rakestraw is able to type in the correct answer.
Yeah. Nolan Ryan's most strikeouts in a no-hitter.
Boy, you were going there. And
made the last out of a Nolan Ryan no-hitter in Houston.
He was the final out in Nolan Ryan's record-breaking, then 5th no-hitter.
Okay, yeah.
In the Astrodome. And Ryan went on to have 2 more. But yes.
Now, this feels like cheating because we're best friends, and so I know you love Nolan Ryan.
Correct.
And so I had a feeling that it had something to do with the Nolan Ryan era Astros.
Wonder, Nolan Ryan, do you think that's conflicted for him between the Rangers and the Astros? I mean, I know he works for the Rangers.
He had an ownership stake in the Rangers,
right?
Does he still have that?
I think so, or like president, or some sort
I don't know, man.
But he's a legendary Astro. Well, he's a legendary Ranger too.
But gun to my head, if first team that comes to mind to me for Nolan Ryan is Rangers.
Really?
Yeah. Should it not be? Maybe it's my age.
That's fair, actually. I mean, some would say Angels. I think Astros because, again, age thing, right?
Let me see
When I
how
was
many
a
years he
little
played
kid-
for each.
I'm going to guess here. You ready? Nolan Ryan's career. I'm going to
Oh,
say.
yeah.
okay, hold on. I'm going to say that Nolan Ryan spent 2 years as a Met. Is that right?
He spent technically 4 seasons as a Met.
Okay. And then I'm going to say that he spent 3 as an Angel.
He spent 8 seasons as an Angel.
Did he really?
All through the 72 to 79. Basically all through the 70s, he was an Angel.
Okay. Then I'm going to say 8 years with the Astros.
Yeah, 9. 80 to 88. So basically all the 70s Angels, all the 80s Astros.
And then 4 with the
That's
Rangers.
it. Well, 5. 89, 90, 91, 92, 93. So Rangers was 3rd on that list. So maybe that's an age thing for me.
But 2 of his most famous moments were as a Ranger.
Yeah.
I mean, the Robin Ventura fight
Ventura thing,
and the 7th no-hitter.
And the last no-hitter. 5,700 strikeouts. Oh, my God.
Do you know who his 5,700 or his? I'm sorry. Do you know who his record-breaking strikeout was against? No, 5,000. Who was his 5,000th strikeout?
I have no idea.
Ricky Henderson.
Really? Wow.
Who was his 7th no-hitter final out? A rookie who had gotten his first career hit off Nolan Ryan.
I don't know.
Roberto Alomar.
Wow. Yeah. No, I didn't know that. 11-time strikeout leader. But, how many people would assume that he won a bunch of Cy Youngs and he never won Cy Young?
Right.
So.
But, man, that high leg kick fastball, man.
Yeah.
Good night.
I mean, pretty great. And punching Robin Ventura on the crown of the skull. It's pretty great.
I steer cattle for a living, and this guy thinks he's going to intimidate me.
Let's get to Chateau Kitchen's Bite or Bow Bleep a little bit earlier than normal here on the show. Chateau Kitchens and ChateauKitchens.com for your home remodeling projects. At Chateau Kitchens on Facebook and Instagram for before and after pictures. Always great. Stephen and his crew, obviously heavy hearts with the passing of Mallory, and her remembrance service is this week, which unfortunately I'll miss because I'll be out of town. But keeping them, of course, in our thoughts. Let's go with statement 1. The AFC South will send 2 teams. They have to send at least 1 by law. 2 teams to the NFL playoffs. Buy it or Bow Bleep?
I'm going to say it's Bow Bleep because you're going to have possibly 2. Well, you're going to have 2 out of the East. I mean, probably.
Yeah.
Buffalo, though, is starting to fade back a little bit. But Buffalo, Miami, you would think are in. Kansas City's going to be in. I think there could be 2 out of the North.
There might be 3 out of the North.
Yeah. If Cincinnati gets going here, right?
How long are we going to do this with the Chargers?
I know. It's over.
How long are we going to do this?
Yeah.
I mean, the Chargers just going to go 9-8 every year? Is that
yeah.
what they are? Like every year, it's like, oh, watch out for the Chargers. Like, when's it going to happen? Like,
Well,
I agree, Justin Herbert's a great player, but like, when's it going to happen?
It doesn't help, Derek, that they're playing in a market that doesn't care 2 flips about them.
But to me, they lose every big game that they play in like the 4:30 window or in prime time. They lose 27-21.
Right. You're right. Interception on the 11-yard line with 38 seconds to go.
You know what? I'm going to buy it because Houston and Indy's schedules are
Fair.
so light.
Yeah,
I don't
good.
see it with Tennessee. Like Tennessee to me is going to be the last place team.
Well,
I think.
Indy and Houston both are showing signs of the window's opening for them.
Yeah.
The window for Tennessee is closing.
Yeah, I don't think the Colts are going to make the playoffs. So I think Houston would be the team that I would go with if I was a betting man. And I don't think Houston's great, but I think because their schedules are so poor, I think I have a better chance saying yes and one of Houston or Indy scratching out like a 9-8 wild card season. Because I think we would agree at this point, the Jaguars are going to win the division, right?
Yes.
Barring something unforeseen. Statement 2, Brock Purdy's not the long-term answer in San Francisco. Buy or Bow Bleep?
As long as they have that defense and Kittle and McCaffrey. No, I think he is.
I mean, he's fine. He's
I mean, they've lost, he's 8-2 now, right?
we greatly overreact to small samples. Remember what was being said about Mac Jones in his rookie year,
yeah.
the first half?
Yeah.
And look at what happened to him since, and it's not all his fault. Purdy's fine. People that want to say Brock Purdy's elite or that he's the next Tom Brady, I mean, we were getting way, way, way ahead of ourselves.
But he looks like a solid
I
player.
think with that, yeah.
He's comfortable.
I'll say bull bleep because I'm not ready to say whether he is or isn't the long-term answer.
Okay.
But I'm not going to say definitively that he's not. Statement 3, it's good for baseball to have this much parity. Buy it or bull bleep?
Buy it, but you're going to have a couple of teams that are of national appeal in the mix.
How about this for
The Phillies are to an extent. Bryce Harper's a pretty exciting player.
How about this for an unpopular opinion, but it actually is true. Baseball's always had parity. Baseball, at least if we're just talking champions, baseball has had far more parity than the NBA and more than even the NFL this century.
But you have an era right now of people that are 30 years old that saw basically one team dominate their entire childhood.
Do you know how many do you know who the last repeat was in baseball? Repeat champion?
Big Red Machine. No, hold on.
Yeah. It's not that far back.
Yeah, hold on. I mean, the Yankees had to have done it, right?
Yeah. I think that's the last one, right? 98, 99 Yankees. Am I wrong?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. 25 years.
But still, Derek, they were in it. I mean, the Yankees or Braves. How many
same
years in a
teams have
25-year
been in
stretch
a
were the
lot.
Yankees or Braves not in the World Series?
Well, the Yankees haven't even been to a World Series since 2009.
No, I get it.
There's been a lot of parity in baseball. There's a payroll disparity, and people like to talk about that. There's a big difference between the best teams and the worst teams, like the Pirates and the Yankees and all that. But the actual middle of baseball, it's thriving. Look at Texas. You even said it. They lost 100-something games 2 years ago, for God's sake. They won 60 or whatever, not that long ago. And then they dumped a bunch of money, and they tried to win, and now they're winning. So all these teams that cry poor, well, we can never do that. Well, try. Try to do it. Get your cheap owner to write a check. Let's go. Put your pants on. If you don't like it, then sell. People act like, well, the problem with baseball is the Red Sox. No, the problem with baseball is the A's. That's the problem with baseball. The problem with baseball is Pittsburgh.
What's wrong with the A's?
Those franchises are the issue.
The A's play in
They're
a
not
great
even
stadium in
actively
Oakland.
trying.
Fun.
That's the issue.
Beautiful stadium in Oakland. It's got enough of a banner on the very top to put "Welcome to Oakland Coliseum, home of the Athletics."
Like, I know that you grew up in the cookie-cutter multi-purpose stadiums.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you must agree that stadium is a joke. It's awful. It's been awful
Derek,
for 30 years.
You ever been to Rome?
No.
You ever been to Athens?
No.
Okay.
I went to Canada once.
People spend tens of thousands of dollars to go to Rome.
Yeah.
Where do they go when they go to Rome?
Okay, so we're comparing the
go to-
Coliseum to Shea Stadium. Is that what we're doing?
They go to the Coliseum in Rome. Do they see luxury box suites? Do they see private seating licenses? Do they see...
They might have had PSLs to watch people get mangled by lions. I'm not sure.
My point being, not a bad seat in the place, right? Famous historic stadium. Amenities sucked, but it's there. People go to see it.
Can I ask you a question? Mm-hmm. And the Roman Coliseum, and maybe I don't know if they put this on stone tablets or not. Did they ever have a septic tank issue where there was poo floating in the clubhouses, like in Oakland?
The Roman Coliseum actually, and this is interesting,
Where they couldn't flush their poo?
Studies have determined that the Roman Coliseum actually had better plumbing system than the Oakland Coliseum.
Yeah, I believe it.
Interesting enough.
Just a giant stone wheel.
Stadiums have like a 20-year window that if you fight through it, the awkward headgear pimple era of a stadium, then it becomes cool and retro. You just got to fight through.
We're going to be having and you've alluded to this, we're going to be having this conversation about Lucas Oil within the next 10 years.
Did you see? And I'm not making light of it.
And maybe they'll do it with the turf.
Did you see, Derek? I'm not making light of it. Lucas Oil, I guess it was like 2 years ago.
The guy that fell?
Yeah.
I'm
telling you, man.
Yeah.
The architectural design of Lucas Oil Stadium is very flawed.
Let's get to our quick hits. I don't even know how much time left we have, but I'm gonna get to our quick hits. I know we've got one more segment to go. Pacers extend Aaron Nesmith. You had alluded to this. 3 years, $33 million. Originally acquired from Boston in the Malcolm Brogdon deal. Just turned 24. And this is a 3-year extension on top of this year. So the Pacers will have him for 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, basically.
Big piece, yep.
Through his 28th birthday, which is great. He's versatile. You can put him anywhere, and that's why he's always going to have a place regardless of what it. Like, he's not
And
going to
to
be
your
your
point-
starting power forward anymore.
To your point, he can shoot.
Yeah, he's still listed on depth charts as a power forward, which I think is hilarious because that's what he primarily
what
had
he
to
is?
play. But he's
the modern
small
version of
forward.
Derek McKee.
Yeah, he could do a little bit of everything.
Right.
And one of their most, I would say, honestly, he's one of their most important players just because of his versatility. You have to have a guy like that. Mackenzie Mbako, low-level arrest at Taco Bell. There are differing reports about this. I'm not interested in jumping into the Peaks message boards and seeing what they're saying there. But criminal trespass, resisting arrest, didn't get served at the Bloomington Taco Bell where everybody gets arrested. My buddy got arrested there. Low-level misdemeanors. It's always a bad look, though, when especially a brand-new player gets arrested like that. But we all do dumb stuff when we're young.
Well, he was asked twice to get out of the car, didn't do it. They had to break the window.
According to them.
Not a good look.
Yeah. Who knows? Two sides to every story, I guess. But still, maybe a situation where you're placing yourself in harm's way by whenever.
Derek, when you are no fault, I'm not saying this specifically to the Mbako case. When you have basketball players, notably, and I say that only because that's such a smaller group of players, so it's easier to stand out. When you have players that are big-time recruits that, for the most part, have had adults catering to them since they were 12 to 13 years old, then when they get to a college campus and ultimately the responsibility to act responsibly is on them, it is understandable that there is a learning curve for them to learn how to have accountability.
I just hate the idea that even if we're not going to take all of these charges for face value, even if we're just taking the interactions with the Taco Bell employees for face value, I just hate, even when I was a jerk and a kid that made a bunch of mistakes, and we were all there, right? We were all 18 once. I can't remember, and I'm confident in saying that I never verbally berated some fast food worker or something. I don't like that. Michigan, the sign stealing is a big thing and something that may or may not impact. I know we didn't talk college football because there wasn't much to say. Purdue and Notre Dame were on bye. Indiana got their ass kicked because Indiana always gets their ass kicked. Michigan leapt Georgia for the first time as a new title favorite. So the betting favorites to win the national championship right now is Michigan at plus 220. J.J. McCarthy also the Heisman favorite now, too, after 4 tuds last week. Do you know how many points they're giving up per game?
Over Michael Penix?
Do you know how many points they're giving up per game?
17. 9. 7. 6. 5.
5.8. I don't care who you're playing. If you're giving up 5.8 points per game and it's almost Halloween, that's incredible. Michigan is crushing everybody, crushing them. Georgia struggled with Vanderbilt. Georgia struggled with Auburn.
Ohio State will beat Michigan.
No way. No way. I'll bet money on it. I never do that, but
What
I
would
will.
you like to bet?
I will bet money on it. I'll bet you $20.
Okay.
I'll even give you 6 points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I'll give you 6 points.
Perfect.
I think Michigan wins going away.
OH.
Michigan wins going away. And it pains me to say because I hate Michigan. I can't stand them. I can't stand their fans. I love Harbaugh, but I can't stand their fans.
OH.
But Michigan is the national champion, period. They're the best team in the country by far.
Okay.
And I'll say it right now, and you can put it on tape. And then when it doesn't happen, I'll be thrilled because then I can pull out Michigan has won half of a national championship in the last 75 years.
By the way, how about ESPN Game Day doing a feature on a mentalist who is able to predict things and figure, whatever. It was a fun piece. Mm-hmm. But
did he pick Penn State?
No, they did it because they discovered him basically because he was brought in at Michigan to talk to the team at Michigan and do his show how he mentally can foresee things. And they unveil this guy and do this whole feature on him the same weekend that, oh, by the way, Michigan also is accused of stealing plays.
Yeah. Not a good look, and we'll see. I mean, that a punishment could happen this year. People are saying that it can't. It could.
Right.
It could. We don't
We'll
know.
see.
Jags Report, we come back, and we'll wrap things up. It's Corey and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Back for a final time. Bailey and Wood presents Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Jake's got the hat on. You know what that music means?
P-U-I.
No, it's
I-U.
no.
P-U-I.
No. You got it wrong. You got the cadencing wrong.
I-U.
No. No
P-U-I.
pause. No pause.
No.
I-U-P-U-I. 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 You know why I know their fight song? This is a throwback.
I-U.
The old ESPN/XL950 was the radio home of the IUPUI Fightin' Jags.
That's right.
During the Ron Hunter era, Greg Rakestraw was the play-by-play voice.
Will Fleming did it for a while, right?
IUPUI basketball? Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't know.
After
Maybe.
Greg, I think.
Yeah, after Greg. Okay, yeah.
Macaulay?
I was thinking just the radio days, but we used to play the fight song all the time. I think it was maybe part of the rejoiners, if I remember right, when I was running the board for those games. Time for the IUPUI Jags report. Women's soccer team collected a critical road shutout. They blanked Robert Morris 1-0. Sophomore goalkeeper Kaylin Junk. That'd be awesome to be a like a goalie or something like that, and your last name is Junk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you spell junk?
J-U-N-K?
It's junk?
Yeah, it's just Junk.
Okay.
Kaylin Junk. CJ registered 4 saves for the clean sheet. IUPUI will close out the regular season Wednesday night against Purdue Fort Wayne at Michael Carroll Stadium at 6 o'clock. Are you going to that one?
Yes.
Okay, and Rake's going to that one. I'm going to be out of town, so I'm going to miss it. Yeah, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
IUPUIJags.com/tickets, by the way, if you want to go. Men's soccer, unfortunately, knocked from the top of the league standings. They fell 2-1 to Green Bay. Final game of their season will be played in Carmel against Milwaukee. That's on Saturday. The volleyball team fell to Milwaukee in 4 sets and Green Bay in 5. So a tough weekend against the Wisconsin teams. Jags home Sunday against Purdue Fort Wayne in the Jungle at 4 p.m. Men's swim team very narrowly outswam by Purdue. They swam well, I guess you should say, to earn the second place finish, while the women's team finished third behind the Boilermakers in Ball State at the Indiana Intercollegiates on Saturday. Swimming and diving are going to host their first conference meet of the year against Cleveland State Friday and Saturday in the Natatorium. And then it's right around the corner. IUPUI men's and women's basketball single tickets will go on sale on noon Monday, October 30th.
Easiest way to say this for people, okay?
IUPUIJags.com.
You're talking about Division
ticket.
I college athletics right here in Central Indiana. Great facilities. And, predominantly, maybe not entirely, but a lot of kids from Central Indiana, from right here in your local high schools, your local communities, representing a school that is based right here in Indianapolis. Great education kids are getting. And I have always said, a fabulous way to maybe introduce a young person to just the college campus, college lifestyle, seeing a college team and doing it in a very affordable fashion and getting tickets for whatever sport might be of interest to you to IUPUI. And Derek, the way that people can find that ticket information is?
IUPUIJags.com/tickets.
Easy, right?
Thanks to all of our great sponsors. IUPUI, Chateau Kitchens, Bailey & Wood Financial Group, Hoagies and Hops, Chili Water Brewing, Love Heating and Cooling. I don't think I'm missing anybody. For Vince.
Did you mention Bailey and Wood?
For JD, I did. For Rake. For Jake. I'm Derek. We will see you next time. Corey and Schultz. ISC Sports Network. Have a great week, guys.
IUPUI basketball is back. Come witness history with head coach Matt Crenshaw inside Indiana Farmers Coliseum and head coach Kate Bruce inside the Jungle as they usher in a new era of Jaguars athletics. Be there for exciting Horizon League and in-state matchups. Affordable fun for the whole family. Full season tickets are now on sale starting as low as $80. Order today at IUPUIJags.com/tickets or call 317-278-2530. Work hard, make noise, have fun. Go Jags.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.